check in on your Wolfpack Connect.
Yeah. All right. Yep. You're good. You got it. You got it. All right. So, hi everyone. Welcome to the first official officer orientation for the year. We're the executive leadership team, yeah, this is, we just had a club advisor lunch a couple weeks ago to kind of give all of you club advisors the knowledge of what their jobs are. We will kind of go over the difference between what their jobs are and your jobs, as you all hold the power to be the ones to make decisions in your student club respectively. But yeah, that we in the past have held two different versions of this, but as we're changing things up, just filling out this one orientation to see if anybody could use it for the new officers. Other than that, yeah, welcome, and yeah, let's get started. Yeah. Oh, quickie.
Okay.
Pointed at that.
Yeah.
You know, did this right away as well. What a bunch of junk. Oh, that sucks. All right, whatever. Wait.
Okay.
It works. I don't know. It works.
Wait, it did? It did?
Yeah, I think I just had to have it on the first one.
Oh, way off. Okay.
Yep.
This is the agenda for the day. We'll start off with introductions. We'll move into the role of the club advisor and also the officers. We'll cover key tools like GiveSmart, Wolfpack Connect, and Workday. We'll share some accessibility updates, highlight resources, and go over the incentive program, drop-in hours, and then we'll finish with any questions. This is Idman. She is the club involvement coordinator. I'm Brittany, the marketing coordinator. Sean is our advisor. Bethany, our Goodman South coordinator, and Zainab, who is not here with us today, is the club development coordinator.
So to start, we're going to talk about the role of the club officers. So you get to lead the club events and official meetings. You get to bring people together, creating a positive culture within a club, and you get to continue to recruit members and promote events fostering club growth. You submit budget requests for ELT funding, you stay up to date and coordinate tasks to participate in the incentive program, and you also fulfill other duties such as sending out club official emails and keeping financial records. You work closely with the other club's officers to collaborate, ensuring smooth operations. You keep track of meeting agendas and minutes and run social media accounts. And then you also ensure open communication with club advisors to help guide you and support your club. The role of the club advisors can be, they can vary on different levels of involvement, ranging from attending meetings and helping with planning to a more hands-off approach. Our goal is that the advisors adjust to the needs of the club's goals and their activities. Regardless of the advisor's style, advisors are expected to maintain some type of consistent communication with their organization to support the club leaders and the overall club.
So I just want to take a second before we go on this next slide. Just what you heard sounded like a lot, right? But for me, I've heard with the club officer, you're in charge, right? You and your leadership, you know, however many officers you have, right? I know that we require at least two, a president and a treasurer, right? But you can have a vice president, you can have almost up to 10, I believe, right? But they're all designated under the same vocabulary of they're an officer, right? And so as those student officers, again, like I kind of said in the beginning, you're in charge, you run the show, the advisor is there, depending on the type of club, like you have industrial machinists, that's an academic-based club, right? So your program aligns with that, and you usually, because of you being in that academic-based club and program, you get put into the club right away, right? So like, oh, I'm in the program, I get put into the club, right? That happens with pretty much all academic clubs. Whereas an interest-based club, right, or an identity-based club, those are more, clubs that you get to decide, hey, do I want to join that club, right? And that's going to be a lot different. But those advisors, right, play different roles. So some advisors are really hands-off, some are a lot more hands-on, but it's your job to lay out those expectations of what the expectation is so that they can best support you. Because if they don't know, and I've talked to some advisors like this, they get very confused on how best do I help? How best do I give guidance or mentorship, right? That they don't know. So it's best to sit down and have an initial meeting with the leadership and just lay it out, right? And open communication is key, but those advisors are not supposed to be doing the work. They're just there to help support you when you need it or request it, right? So, yeah, that's what I don't know if any of you got all of that out of that part, but that's what I at least got out of it. So, first, I just want to say, is there any questions, right? I mean, we want Sonia.
How do you look for the best advisor?
That's a very hard question, and there's really no actual answer, right? Because the more especially with this college, right, the more you get to know people, and that includes faculty or staff, right, whether they be a part-time faculty or full-time faculty, or part-time staff member, whatever it may be, right? The more things that you go to and events and just networking, the more you have opportunities to meet those individuals, get bond with them, and then potentially ask, right? But some clubs, I mean, I honestly had an email club just a couple days ago who was struggling to find an advisor, and my biggest key of advice was patience, right? It sometimes takes time, but you want an advisor who is there to see and support you and help you when you need it, not when you're, hey, I need to get paid back for something I paid for on behalf of the club. When is that going to happen? And they're not responding to their emails, they're not being proactive, and then you're struggling to get paid back, right? You don't want it to be in that spot, right? You want them to be ready to go saying, hey, I know that you paid for something just recently at Alaska event or whatever. Let's try signing off on that, whatnot, right? It's an ebb and flow, and they feel comfortable with you. So great question. It's just hard. Sometimes it just depends, right? So any other questions? Any questions online before I move on? Was a really great question. All right, so I'm gonna move on. Yeah, see, it does work. All right, so the club funding overview, right? So ELT, we are the executive leadership team, right? And what we do as an organization is we are given money to then help disperse that money to the clubs, right? Because as organizations, you all pay activity fee money for your classes. That money then gets circulated in a bunch of different ways, but one of them is into the student orgs. Clubs don't get paid like orgs do, right? So we especially are the specialty or special, we help make sure that you get that money, and so we do it in a few different ways, right? So again, going back to academic clubs, right? So membership dues. You know if you pay membership dues in the Industrial Machinists Club by chance?
Not yet.
Okay. So like that, and I don't know if that's the case, but like I do know like Diesel Club and Automotive Club, they pay $15. A lot of the nursing programs, they pay money membership dues. That being in an academic club, that's what you're gonna have to do. And most of the time, it's because there's an outside external organization, right? That then is hanging out outside of the college, and we partner and create that chapter within the college. And there's the dues that have to be paid, and you get the bonus things like being able to apply for competitions and win money and the recognition and et cetera. But well, that's one thing that we can pay for, right? So membership dues. And as you can see, we have it very strict, right, with how much we can do. If you get over 100 members, you can up that amount to 50 students at up $25 per student, right? But if it's less than 100 members, 25 students is how much we will accept and pay for, and that's up to $25 each per student, right? Then we move down to event, right? And with event, it's a little bit different, right? With event, we want to allow the clubs to find ways to connect and engage with other students on the campus or campuses, right? So we will support you and pay you some money to be able to have a great event and engage with students, and hopefully they might want to become a member, right, of your club, right? So we say, hey, every academic year you can have up to $100 and use it how you want, right? So some clubs really use that money all the way, the full 100. They take a little bit out, a little bit out, a little bit out, but they fully use up. Other clubs, they go right from the get-go at the beginning of the year. We already have some clubs that can almost spend all that $100 at only a month in, right? But they get $100 to see fit as to having an event and trying to engage with students. We have opened up the accommodations on ways that we will accept that and approve that money to be spent, right? So an example would be Aviation Club wanted to buy parts for they were going to have an event, like a little flying event in the gym, and they wanted to buy parts for their like a little aircraft, right? And so, I'll be honest with you, that's never something that we've ever approved in the past, and this was last year, and we approved it, right? Because it seemed to be a good use of money, and we don't want to, be a deterrent and hold that up. So yeah, we went for it, right? So as long as it's helping to do something positive and it's for an event on campus, right? Great. If you want to use it for food, though, there are some very strict limitations, all right? So anything under $50, you don't need to have any approval. You can just use that money to get whatever. But past $50, we have an in-house catering services like team, right? And we have to go to them first when we spend over $50, right? So we immediately have that deal made with them. So if you are going to spend more than 50, and it's for food, you have to get catering involved. If catering can't do it because their availability or they don't have the supplies, they will give you a right of refusal, and that's kind of your green ticket to be able to then go and spend that money off campus. And so, that is usually a great thing, right? But you need to get an email saying we cannot do it, and we can't. You have the right of refusal. If you don't get that, and maybe you look at the availability in the calendar and it shows red, that's not enough for us to pre-approve that, right? So, and again, your advisor, this is the thing, your advisor should be able to help you with that, right? Or you can always come down and ask us, right? But that's something that your advisor will be able to help you with. So there's that. Then lastly, travel, right? Travel is a big one. If you're traveling and want to go someplace and it's for the cause of the mission, right? Or Green Card Club just went to a thing in Idaho, whatever, and it was a sustainability conference or whatever, right? It directly met the needs of what Green Club is all about, their mission, right? And so that's a perfect professional development opportunity. It's a great thing for us because we get to see have a Mass College Club go and do their thing and represent, right? And that's just awesome. And so yeah, we will pay up to $5,000 max, right, for the entire year for for the club, a single club, or up to $300 per student. So it really just depends on which one is the cheaper or the one that is using the money most wisely, right? So that's the way that I can say I can do that. Is it depending on if you're in a trip, right, and you're like, oh, it's going to cost X amount of money. Depending on how many students are going, you're doing $300 times the number of students, right? And that's going to tell you exactly if you're going to be if we're going to be using the 5,000 or we're going to be using it for 300 up to that $300 limit, right? So, but yeah, there are a lot of great trips have come out of that for students, and it is a first come first serve thing. So we only have X amount of money, right? So it's you submit your request. Every week it gets reviewed by the club funding committee, which consists of the Student Senate Finance Committee, right? They're the ones that were elected into those positions, and they oversee a lot of the monies. And then we have one of our own and myself, who is not here, Zainab, and she's the one that checks to make sure that you guys are being represented. So Senate looks and says, hey, is the money being spent right? Zainab says, hey, is the needs of the club, are they being met for this, right? And if there's a way to advocate for the club and make sure that we can get the most out of it for them, that's what Zainab would do to make that happen. So every week that happens, so you submit a request and we see where that goes, right? So now I'm gonna actually show you how to do that, right? So, and very simply do that. Let's try to, I have to log in, I think, to, it's gonna be great. So I always tell everyone to go to Wolfpack Connect right from the students at MadisonCollege.edu. That's gonna be the best way of doing that. Loads up your screen, we log in here. We got a few times, we gotta go through that. And bingo and good. I feel like that is pretty, everyone can see that, but so I'm going to go ahead and use one of the test group clubs that we use to kind of make tests and see if we can break things and whatnot. So every club is going to see exactly the same type of screen. It's the dashboard, your main dashboard, and what I refer to as your colored tiles, right? So there's a tile for every one of the main things that you need. Most times, students, when they log in, they're not going to have this thing pop up right away. You know, you have to hover, obviously. I tell them to enable that, right? Because these are going to be your more global options, but the same global options are on here, but then there are sub options right underneath it. And sometimes you actually need to get to those sub options. So it's good to just have an easy way to navigate. But the big thing that you're looking for when you want to submit a budget request, right, is to click on budget, right? So, and then we're going to go ahead and create a budget request, right? So this is budget request little icon right here. And again, this just basically outlines exactly everything I just said. And then we do a few different things, right? So we just have to fill out some basic information. So I'm gonna go ahead and make this for an event type of funding, right? So having a good time, right? That's gonna be my thing, you know, whatever. And then next, and then this thing right here is, right? So this is, think about this as what you totally need, right? So if I totally need $100, but I already have $50 in my account, right? Then I will put down that I'm going to be spending $50, right? And that's not supposed to do it like that. I'm telling you. And so there, yeah, that's it. I always mess that up. So you get the gist of what I'm trying to say. But so I'm not going to claim to know that I do that right. I screw up every time currently. But you see how it breaks down where it shows the amount that you finance for the group, then what you want to request from ELT funding, and then what the total funds are needed, right? And so if this is, let's say this was travel funding, right? Say you had a conference that you're going to, you had a conference registration. Then you also had, you drove down to this location. So you had gas, you paid for gas, right? And then you also were staying the night in a hotel, right? Well, you need to make sure that you're adding every one of those items, right? So, you know, here we go. We can see that travel funding, conference registration, you would then be able to add every single one, right? Fuel, and then even going down to the lodging, right? And so all of the whatever you need, let's say that this is some big, you need like a big amount of money, right? You're breaking down what I did in that little tiny sub thing with $100 is doing it in a total like bigger picture, right? So just, you know, play around with it, make sure that you get it right. And the best thing you can always do though is write down big notes, right? So clearly communicate what you're trying to ask for. If you get confused or lost, because it gets reviewed by that, and Zainab is going to be making sure to actually take the time to make sure that you know what you're looking and asking for, right? So I'm going to have to delete these because I don't need these. I want to make sure I spec this back. And let's say I just need supplies, right? So, I'm gonna hit next, and it's gonna ask you again, just to double down, because we have had trouble in the past with this, right? So, and then I'm gonna go ahead and select my club, right? And this is immediately gonna send a notification to your advisor, just so they know. In the past, we had this happen where the advisor was not aware of the situation and a bunch of money potentially got spent, right? So now we have a notification, and then you just fill out the rest of this information, right? So, location, let's on, Sheriff's campus, I'm not going anywhere. Date, let's just say tomorrow, time, I don't know, 10 a.m. No, probably not submit, right? Now, I'm gonna have to go ahead and delete this at the very end of this orientation, but, which is a bummer, but, now you're saying, now you can see that what I made now has a distinguished number to it, ID number 136. So that's like a transaction ID that we didn't lock that in. We're also going to have a payment ID when you actually submit a payment request, right? So you're going to, and this is, I think, and it kind of explains this in the club handbook, right? But you or somebody is fronting money, and then having to get that paid back to us, right? So if I want $50 from Guilty Funds for this event, I'm spending 50 of my own money. Let's just say I decided that I was gonna be the one in charge of that. I'm spending and buying the $50 worth of stuff, and then we're gonna have the event. The event's done, and then now I have the attendance sheet. I have all the information, the receipt from what I spent, and now I'm gonna say I want to get paid back, right? I want to get my money back. Well, again, from your dashboard, you log in, you say I want to get paid back. You're going right back in the budget. You're going down to where your ID, you have your transaction right here, and this will obviously be green because let's just say it was approved, right? Then this is where you're requesting a payment, and you're just doing everything that you just did. I just did, right? But now you're uploading receipts, which usually is a picture, right? And then you just upload that or a PDF, what have you, and then that gets sent to us again, the club funding committee, and then we just, hey, did the money that you said that you were looking for get spent for what it needed to get spent for, right? And if it did, great. We can then send the money over, and then the money gets dispersed, and then you will get your money, right? So that is essentially, I know it's kind of a long, daunting process, and it sucks in that sense, but it's important to show why this is so important on how to create a budget request and how to then get do a payment request once the event or the travel, or you actually don't have to do that for membership dues, it's really just to do, but how you get paid back essentially, right? So now let's what's the next thing on this slide here? Let's go back to this. And I think that's for you.
So fundraising, all clubs have the opportunity to fundraise, whether you're trying to raise money for travel or club supplies. You need to submit a fundraising request form, and that can be found on wolfpackconnect. Just to make sure that we're following all the college's guidelines and rules. And another fun way to fundraise would be raffles. Raffle tickets are available for Student Life, and you need to submit 2 forms, and that would be the raffle request form. That could also be found on Wolfpack Connect, and that would need to be submitted at least 2 weeks before you plan on selling any tickets. And you would need to submit a raffle completion form at least within 2 weeks after the final ticket is sold. If you are trying to sell any food or drink items, those would need to be factory sealed and coordinated through catering. And that would be no homemade items and no open items.
Sweet. All right, so now we're going to talk about the next big thing here, which is GiveSmart. So a lot of times for fundraising, right? Because how does a club get money, right? It gets money through doing work.
Sorry, just to clarify, you mean like no homemade items, like even lemonade and stuff like that?
You can do that, right? It's more of an issue with food safety.
Okay.
And so having factory wrap sealed things just is a go-to of saying, hey, that's a good standard. It's not been contaminated anyway, right? You ever say, like, if something says, if this has been cracked, the label's been cracked, don't use it. It's like that mentality, right?
Okay.
If it's sealed, it's probably going to be safe, right? Okay. So, but in the event that you're unsure, come find me, we will give you a more distinct answer. Sometimes there's some weird one-offs, right? But did I answer your question?
Thank you.
All right, great question. So yes, we now, what I'm getting into right now is fundraising that's one way you earn money for your club. Obviously, the other ways are the incentive program, which we're gonna talk about in a little bit. But yeah, you don't get money every year. You have to earn it somehow, right? So fundraising's the big way, but we didn't have a online way to collect money, and now we do, right? So, this is a brand new thing that we just started at the end of last spring, right? So, but there's a lot of cool things that you can do with it. So, one thing that I can say we've done, right, back to you got academic guys over there, we had the automotive club collecting dues this way, right? So, the advisor was like, yeah, this is a great idea. We can just do it like this. I don't have to do any handling of cash or money that, like give me the $5 of membership dues. I can just have it all this way where they just, you're seeing this version of the form right here, but I mean, it's pretty nice. It's a very, click the amount that you need to pay for and you pay your dues, right? And then that gets, dispersed in the background to the club itself. That's one way. That's one way that we've actually, because since it's so brand new, we have had very little introduction to any of the clubs. So that's probably the biggest one that we've had so far. The Electronics Robotics Club is actually the other second one that we've had. Actually, you're the only club that so far that's actually collected money with it so far, because we got the idea from your advisor, right? But yeah. I mean, there's so many different things here, right? Like you can do the text to donate things, you can do the silent line options, which I think a lot of academic clubs do like to do is have those big bash, like all member things, and then have, these fun activities that they do. And it's really easy. You get your own a landing page, and you get, you have your own text, right? So yeah, literally, if you text ECG to 41444 right now, I shit you not, right? If you did that right now, it would give you the link, and then the link would send you to this image right here, right? And after you donate, obviously it sends you to that. But there's so many ways you can customize that and collect money. We're trying to get students, club officers, and club advisors away from saying, oh, I'll just hook and set up my own Venmo account, right? And then do money handling that way. That's not allowed. It's actually a big no-no. And so we did everything we could as best we could to get this going, but we're really excited for it. And so what we're as we're introducing it right now, we're making it very clear that anyone is interested, like obviously electronics, you have it, but I know no one else in here has it yet. If you're all interested, you can scan that QR code for the request form. That will then ask you, right now I'm asking for only 2 users per group because I have to do all the background adding and stuff like that. But yes, we can still building out an option for fundraising online. So that's a pretty cool thing that doesn't sound cool, but it's great. So that's that. Then we are into the other great thing that is so fun and awesome as well. So there were some new standards that got passed, right, for the Americans with Disabilities Act, and we have to be compliant by April 2026. Everyone has to, and it is this big rollout thing. So what that means for you all is good, I'm going to call it good hygiene, or getting into the process of when you do things like upload your files, like I want to upload a logo of our club, right? You put down the descriptive text, right? So that screen reader can read it, right? Most times you think, oh, I'm just gonna upload something and then be done with it, right? But there was that extra little step in there that is so relevantly needed and important, right? So that's one thing, right? Or when you have documents, making sure that those like a PDF document, make sure those PDFs are also ADA compliant to this WCAG. It's WCAG 2.1 AAA standard, right? And so there are top 6 sites right now that are going that are the most heavily trafficked for Madison College. Wolfpackconnect is one of them, and every club has a page, right? So it's where I'm asking you, right, to really help make sure that we're just getting into the habit of good hygiene with this. And I would very much, encourage, just check out this QR code, which would show the tips of things to be doing. It's a quick tip, go, and then you're just basically now what you know what to do. So that's going to help us. It's going to help us just be compliant, and everybody's going to be great, feeling good with it. So that's that. Any questions so far? Yeah, I didn't think there would be that. Yeah, it's a lot.
All right, so we do have the incentive program to help clubs be more involved with students and to gain more funds available for use by your clubs. We've seen an increase in involvement from clubs over the past 2 years. This success has improved from outreach, club liaisons, and stronger commitment from student leaders, such as officers. We took feedback from the student club leaders to redesign the incentive program to make them more accessible to more clubs. That way you're able to get access to these funds to use with your club.
So yeah, this is the other big way you earn money, right? You do basic club management in Wolfpack Connect. Oh, I'm gonna have an event for my club, and I post it in Wolfpack Connect. That's $25, right? In a year you can get like $975, right? It's a lot of money. You compare. I mean, I'm just telling you because I've done the research. Comparing that to the other WTCS colleges, right? They don't do even anywhere near that. You look at any of the other colleges around the U.S., they definitely don't do that. So this is a big amount of money, big way that you can earn some stuff. But you just basically use Wolfpack Connect, doing your thing, and you won't even realize that you're actually earning money for it, right? Until it's all deposited into your account and you're being celebrated at the Student Success Awards. So there we are.
Alright, so all the major updates on the new requirements for the incentive program can be found in the student handbook for this year. Some key terms would be core incentives, which must be completed to complete the level, and the elective incentives, which you can choose from to decide how you want to finish your level. And just a friendly reminder that the students should be completing these tests and not the club advisors. The table here just shows how many core versus elective incentives you'll need for your level. So as you can see, third level would be 2 core incentives and 1 elective, and so on and so forth.
So, and this orientation right now, for example, it would be considered an elective, right? One. So, because we did require it in the past, but some of you may join and you've been in a club before. Like why have to come to an orientation if you already know what you're doing, right? So it's hey, if you want to use this, and you will get the opportunity at the very end, there will be a notification and email will go out to every one of you with the actual thing that you fill out to get credit the incentive program. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, this is just one of the types of things that you can do to get money.
Okay, we also want you to know about some of the other resources available to you guys. Each advisor and officer will have a liaison from our team as your main contact. We're also building a resource hub with guides and updates, and the club handbook is always your go-to for policies. Clubs can also be spotlighted in the Clarion. Identities-based clubs can connect through the intercultural exchange, and student life is here for drop-in hours, printing, and other general support. If you can't find us in student life, we're probably hanging out in the intercultural exchange, between the two usually.
Yeah, we are definitely all over the place.
And then these are our drop-in hours, the Truax ones, and then Bethany's Good and South is also notated on here as well. And we have a bunch of little flyers that we can give you too.
So if you have questions or, just like, hey, I'm not really sure about this one thing from the orientation, come by a drop-in hour, right? And come to Student Life. If we're not in there, talk to the front desk. They will, my office is in the intercultural exchange. They'll grab me or they'll grab one of these amazing ELT members and we will help and sit down and spend that extra time with you to make sure that you do know what's going on, right? So, and now because of Bethany, we got the amazing Goodman South coverage, which we didn't have last year. So a big, huge thank you to Bethany for that, right?
All right. We thank everyone for attending. We can be reached at our club at Madison College email, and then you can also contact your club liaisons directly. Your club should have received an email so far this year from your club liaison, so if you don't know who that is, feel free to ask us. Are there any questions?
Could I look at the officer resources slide again? I wasn't able to get everything from that.
How can you spotlight your club on that area?
So if you actually go into the student life office, talk with Doug, he's the advisor to all of the student media, and he'll be actually he'll have you fill out a form, or you'll have talk with him directly, or have a student who works for the actual Clarion paper actually. But I'm not sure which, but yeah, that goes to Doug. Annette?
Hi.
Hey, Annette.
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yeah, it's a little bit quiet. Could speak up just a tiny bit.
Okay, I'll see if I can figure out how to do that. I just switched from my phone to the laptop. I wasn't able
Hold on, let
to
me
see
see.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah,
Okay.
good.
Can you drop the QR code for the fundraising app into the what do you call that, into the chat? So I was on my phone at the time, so I couldn't like take a picture since I was using my phone.
Well, then, yeah, I don't have all my stuff. I will be sending out a follow-up email, right, to everyone who attended, right? Hopefully everyone checked in. If you haven't checked in, just scan that QR code, check in quick, but you will get the recording, you will get all of it.
Could you
Sounds
pull
great.
up the check-in QR code for
Yeah.
me?
Can we have the presentation too in the email?
Yep, oh yeah, you'll get the presentation, you'll get I will actually be uploading, I'll be uploading it to YouTube, and then you'll have the video, and everything, and then, because I know that we definitely have at least a couple new, club officers in here, the digital version of the handbook. If anybody's interested in a physical copy of the handbook for right now, I do have a few copies I grabbed before we walked out of my office that basically kind of go into a little bit more detail about some things that we talked about. But it's always available. Did everyone get the QR code? You're getting it right now. I will show you where the handbook resides, and actually it's one of the questions on the orientation quiz. So I'm not giving you a freebie here, but I will show you because I think it's actually valuable to see, and it makes things look really easy, right? So let's just go back home. Okay, Barbara, I'll give it to you in 1 sec. So from the main page, right? Since I pulled all of you in after registration ended, so you should all now be in the ELT as a member of our group, basically, right? And what that does is allows you to see this thing right here, right? So another reason why the left side navigation pane should be opened up, because once you click on that, you have all these things that are very helpful, right? So if you need to deposit money into your club, that's that form, the handbook. To know where you're at in incentive point tracking, that's that. You're gonna see this video today, be uploading the club training videos, a request for payment form, that is the process to allow the reimbursement on the college's side. And obviously everyone who does travel should just fill out a travel waiver. It's a good safety precaution and good, again, quote unquote hygiene. But that handbook though is right there. You're able to grab it, see it. If you get all the things done, you can officially be on the cover next year. Fitness, recreation, and wellness guide. But yeah, this has all things, including the do's and the don'ts, right, of what being a club advisor is. it just kind of helps you, like gives you the information that you need. It's really, it explains what some of the things are, like what club liaisons are. It's great. So check that out and look there when you need some help, right? So I'm gonna go Barbara quick.
Hey, for us online, are you gonna just check us in manually?
Yeah, I
Okay.
don't really know the other person who was here. Actually, I can grab an attendance sheet from it. Teams does that now, so I should be fine. But yeah, it's just you and Annette. That's not. No, that's nothing. So yeah, good question. Good question. I get that.
That would be great because I had problems trying to do it on my phone just now with the QR code. I also had a question about the, so I noticed that there's some trainings that are coming up on Tuesdays and Thursdays during like the midday. Are those same trainings going to be held potentially on like a Monday, Wednesday, or Friday? I'm like in class myself. I don't know how many other people got this lucky, but on Tuesdays from 8:30 to 2:30 and on Thursdays from 11:30 to 2:30.
Yeah, great question. I'm gonna answer realistically, right? It is what it is, right? So, I try, there's a lot of factors that go into making the schedule, right? One is trying to see what other things are going on in the student, with the other student life organizations, right? To make sure that I'm not, just blocking up the calendar on one specific day of the week, right? Or specific time frame, right? That's one aspect and one element. As one other thing, I mean that the new club officers here would not know is that this is a later time than we've done officer orientation in the past, right? So we are listening and hearing to what you're saying about that. I'm in class, I can't attend, I can't be there, I'm missing out. Well, one, we always are recording everything, right? So that it's always there for playback, right? And then, two, we're trying to change the time frame, right? So that we're hoping that maybe it will, we can't hit everyone, right? Everyone's got different schedules and this or that, but trying to at least make it a little bit more accommodating, right? So, I will say that. I will also point out, and I'm very happy that you pointed out the trainings. We do have a lot of events coming up, right? The trainings themselves, I run those, right? They're not like a workshop where people can just ask questions. I am explaining how to do something on Wolfpack Connect, and I go into it. I also, during that time, I drop very clear Easter eggs as to things that you would need to unlock the incentive points, and get points added to completion for the incentive program, right? But I take an example of a situation and I say, like this week, tomorrow, I'm doing the part 2 in events, and I'm going to be building out an event with all these options, right, and showing how to do that. And it's more of a guided, intentional training that I'm doing. So I tell everyone that they can show up and I will answer questions as I can, but I will basically be on a roll trying to make sure that I'm hitting all those marks of explaining the specific thing I'm trying to get at. But everything is going to be online, right? And then next week, I believe we have the first time in over 10 years, right, is the Club Officer Roundtable, right? We want the opportunity for officers to just chat, right? I kept hearing that a lot last year. We want to have a chance to chat and talk, right? I don't know what you want to talk about specifically, but I have an idea that might have something to do with how each of you might operate through, how you handle certain scenarios or situations that you might find challenging or just anxiety driven, right? But I think there's a lot of positive growth from that, and so we decide, hey, that used to be a thing. Let's bring it back. It's going to be, I think, at a later time as well, and it's just meant to be a place to just talk to each other, right? And maybe even find ways to collaborate, right? Which I will say unlocks second points. But yeah, hosting events together. or in finding common ground, right? Because if you find somebody that you connect with really well and that might be a good resource that you feel, oh, I could ask Guilty. We're always going to be here, right? But if you're more comfortable, asking this person who might seem to understand it better, why not ask them, right? Why not use and feel the most comfortable and use all the resources that you got? So there's a lot of things happening that we're trying to show and support you all. So, but that's a great question, and I really wish I could do more to be more accommodating. But yeah, it just kind of is what it is, unfortunately.
Sounds good. As long as it's gonna count the same if you do it online. I just noticed
yeah.
I signed up a lot of things that were on Wednesday that have been altered. The dates have changed to a Tuesday or Thursday. So I'm going through and canceling each one of those because I can't have them.
Yeah, I'm not gonna, I always make it clear, I'm a straight shooter, I do not lie, that's my only good redeeming quality. And yeah, there have been a couple of instances where I've had 2 days, just due to, I did my best trying to make that gosh darn calendar. You should see it, it's a big sheet, it's all dates. They all laugh at me, they're like, whoa, you have too much time on your hands, and I didn't. But yeah, I tried, and so a couple of dates I just had to swap them out for any other date that was open in my calendar. But I'm trying very hard not to do that when possible. These were just some kind of things I couldn't avoid.
Appreciate it. Thank you, Sean.
Yep, not a problem. Son, you had
Where's that called handbook?
club handbook, right? It is from your homepage, right? And then it is right here. So right under club resources, right? So any other questions?
When clubs want to watch the training.
Oh, yeah.
When clubs go out and watch the training videos, will they be able to get those 11% of points if they're not able to?
Oh, yeah, definitely. That's part of the whole thing, right? Like as long as you're able to watch it, and that you're basically filling out the form, right? So the form gets sent to you, right? So and also, right, the form is on the digital copy, so it's like you can find it, right? It's there, it's viewable, but if you don't feel like you got, if for some reason you need to get something sent to you, right, it is still there inside the digital copy. But yeah, we want to, as long as you're, our hope is that we're teaching something in terms of how to lead your club effectively, and so that you can have great, successful experiences with fellow students and with, just development of yourself, right? And feeling like you're learning something out of it. So yeah, if you're able to feel that you got something out of it and respond to it, it also helps us be able to continue to modify and change the ways that we try to deliver programming. So it's important in a lot of ways, right? So yeah. So any other questions before what time? Actually, it's probably not gonna lie. This is the best time I've ever done, and I've been doing this for at least a year now. The best time. I usually go at least 25 minutes over, and then I am I'm on a roll. I mean, this is probably because I'm so busy, I don't have any time to screw around. This is great, but yeah. Any last minute questions? All right, and you can always reach us at clubs at Madison College. Come down to Student Life or Intercultural Exchange, and or see us walking around and stop us. All right.
Alrighty.
All right. You guys have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.